Hello and welcome to your in-depth weekly horoscope for week commencing the 20th of March for the Sun or the Ascendant. I'm going to give you some standout features to look out for. This week there are a lot, but please stay with me. I will then dive deep to give you in forensic detail all the key influences particularly relevant to your sign. If you are new here, it's great to have your company. If you'd like to comment, this is very much a community and I do interact with each one. But please do also subscribe. If you're a returning visitor, thank you so much for joining me once more. This week begins on Monday with the spring equinox and cardinal quadrant 1. This triggers the first of the 4 quarters of the year. Cardinal basically means leadership. The sign of Aries, where the sun returns to, is a fire sign, and of course it's very much about initiative. So whether it's new things that excite us or ongoing strands that we want to inject with greater vibrancy, this is a fine time to do it. But of course, on Tuesday we have the new moon also in Aries, but this is going to be squaring up with the ruler of Aries, Mars. So although we can try and be more dynamic and positive, what I don't feel we should do is be too reckless in our approach, because Mars's square suggests that if we rush into anything without giving it due consideration, planning and research, it could end up being rather a waste of energy, and we can scatter resources too. But also on Tuesday, there is a beautiful conjunction between Venus and the North Node. This can engender within us our desire to enjoy more sensual pleasures, whether it's good food, good wine, or being up close and personal with someone we are involved with. But Thursday, Pluto arrives in the sign of Aquarius. It's only going to be here 11 weeks this year. It only gets up to 26 minutes. So Pluto doesn't even reach the first degree of Aquarius. But it's still significant, and it's an opportunity for us all to think at a very deep level how we are all connected, because the sign of Aquarius is one of individuality, but it's also one of the group. Now on Saturday, Mars ends its giant journey through the sign of Gemini, which began on August the 20th and emerges into the sign of Cancer. If you are a water sign or a fixed sign, this is something to celebrate almost immediately. The position of Mars in Cancer is not its technical best transit. Of course, Mars does rule the water sign of Scorpio, but also the fire sign of Aries. And it's known technically as being in fall. But the issues that Cancer is concerned with, security, protectiveness, defense, is definitely going to be something that comes much more into our approach. But the position of Mars and the position of Pluto are in a quincunx. That's 150 degrees. So it kind of means that there can be a difficulty in integrating our approach in some way. So we have to try and work with this week and the new energy it brings, but I feel not rushed too much in how we deploy our ideas. Please stay with me now for your in-depth forecast. If you would like to understand a lot more about how Sirius astrology can really impact on your life, if you give me 3 pieces of personal birth data of time, date and place of birth, I can provide for you your life roadmap report. This will give you a much more intimate understanding of the patterns that have played out in your situation, but also how you can work with the more challenging ones more effectively, but also take advantage of your talents. Now, within my special package of 30% off, you can also get your 12-month personal forecast. No 2 charts are the same and are totally unique to you, and can give you searing insights for the months ahead. If you don't know your time of birth, I have devised a new package which can give you an enormous amount of information, but it's based more on your sun sign rather than the ascendant, which you can't know if you don't know your time. Please also see the link beneath this video. So Capricorn, the big news story this week for your sign in particular is that Pluto leaves the sign of Capricorn for 11 weeks on Thursday, moving into Aquarius. Now, of course, Saturn was in this area through to the 7th of March for 2.5 years. Saturn can create resistance, limitations, and restriction, but also it can test us and we can actually find out what our strengths are. So it could be that some very positive things have evolved in the last couple of years. What Pluto does is bring a more psychological dimension to the second house. The second house is about how we value ourselves. It's also about our approach to everyday money. It can be about how we approach possessions. So those areas come much more into astral focus over this 11-week period. But this week, in general, the bigger picture is the fact that the Sun returns to the sign of Aries after 11 months. And for you, that's very much about home, emotional matters, anything to do with physical security. You're usually very strong on physical security because you're a very protective sign, being an earth sign. But this particular lunation is going to come into a conflict with Mars. Now, Mars has been in a very hard-working part of your situation since August the 20th. The 6th house can make it very productive, but it has been affected by the draining energies of Neptune. So if you have gone through some viruses or low vitality since last August, it wouldn't be a complete surprise, and it may be some of your obligations that have taken the most out of you rather than the things you've made a choice to enjoy. However, Mars moving on Saturday into your opposite sign really is going to help you over the following 6 weeks to reinforce your boundaries, particularly where you're coming into some kind of contact with people you have to be competitive with. But of course, the 7th house can be about relationships. So around the key relationships in your world, I think you could find yourself a bit more demanding if you feel that someone's not giving you the attention, the respect, or the awareness that you feel you deserve. And whereas you may have let that go a little bit with Mars's passage through the 6th house, being only too happy to be obliging and be the one who gives a bit more, particularly at work or on the domestic front, Mars is going to make you feistier. So that's going to be an interesting dimension and dynamic over the next 6 weeks, but it also provides an opportunity. So if you're single, it may give you extra thrust to interact more with other people if you are looking for a significant other partner. But Tuesday also sees the high point in a delightful link between Venus and the North Node. Your instincts around trends, particularly around music or fashion, can be often very, very good. They're really going to be heightened at this point. But there could also be the opportunity to connect with friends socially, or maybe one person in particular. But because of the 4th house energy, you may want to go somewhere that you're very familiar with if you do venture out, or perhaps even play host in the comfort of your home. Good food and providing a lovely meal may be a great way to get to know someone better, whether it is through a friendship or in a more romantic dimension. But your core values are going to come much more sharply into focus for the long term from now over the next 20 years or so.